Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build video. And today I'm going to be building this fish and chip shop with two semi-detached, but the second semi-detached is actually a faux house because that is actually where all the operations of the fish and chip shops actually happen. So let me just tell you a quick story about what's going on at the moment. I have just done an entire voiceover for this build and everything, and I was really happy with it. But you know what? You kept hearing smacking, and there is nothing more I hate more in this world than when you can hear smacking when it's not intentional for the actual video. Like it's not an ASMR. Why was I hearing so much smacking? And I think it's because I was talking so quietly because I was like, and then and everything like that, and it's just like it was ruining everything. So I was like, okay, no, I'm not gonna do that. Let's re-record this, that, and I'm kind of happy that I'm re-recording it because the other one I went off on a tangent about the recession, and it was just like, it was just I had a reason. I had a reason, and I'll summarize it in 2 minutes instead of the 15 minutes I ended up doing in the other video recording. But basically, I was just talking about how I'm trying to lean less into the basic beiges. Not that I'm staying away from minimalism, because I believe minimalism does hold a place in contemporary society with escapism and futurism and everything like that. But I'm trying to do either really gaudy builds, like I want to make an 80s or 70s inspired apartment, and I also want to do a lot more realistic builds like this one, and then I want to do like a lot of futurism minimalism builds. Like I have some of that stuff coming out, but the basic beiges that I do at the moment for like generic family homes, I want to lean away from it just because I feel like I'm playing a part of, that whole thing in society that when we are going through issues, financial issues like recessions and stuff, we end up kind of pulling back the artistic creativity, and we're no longer having fun with art. We're being very practical. And the beauty about film and video games is that you don't need to do that. And especially The Sims, I don't need to do that. I can really just do whatever. So I want to do a lot more things that are whatever. So that is why at the moment I had to just do something a bit more realistic, and I'm trying to do that with a lot more builds now. I'm trying to have things that are less, very basic, very generic. I'm trying to have a lot more fun with my builds, and I kept forgetting that even in my previous recording my laptop started like starting up like it was an airplane or something like that. It was getting really, really loud. But yeah, anyway, so now I've talked very quickly. I can't believe that took me 15 minutes to talk about in the previous. I should have notes because I don't have notes, as you can tell, hence why I ramble a lot. I don't have notes. I don't talk about the key things I need to talk about when I make these videos. But yeah, what made me decide to make a chip shop? I don't know why. I just felt like making a chip shop, and I never fully made. I've never made a fully fledged chip shop in the way that I've wanted to make one. I have made a British high street, which it did have a chip shop. It also had a chicken shop as well. Um, and it had like two apartments and everything like that. Like it's a really good high street, but I wanted to make a small business residential that is like specifically focused on a chip shop, which is functional. It is functional, which is great. The functionality of it comes from basically you will have to have your Sims like pre-make a lot of fish and chips. And I don't know if we have it in the game itself or if it's Granny's cookbook. I don't know what I used, but you can make fish and chips within the game. And then with that, you then put them in the display case that I've put at the counters. I don't know if the Sims can access it. That's the problem. I don't know if the Sims can access the display thing because I've put it on the counter so it can like mimic a actual fish bar, but I don't know if they can access the actual fish and chips itself just because it's like maybe the counter like is in the way, so you might just need to get rid of these two counters. I'm gonna double check it before I upload it. I need to remind myself, double check that. I need to double check that before I upload it. But beyond that, what I clicked on to make sure that this is very reminiscent of a fish and chip shop, a chippy, you might say, I say all the time. No, I don't call it a chippy, I call it a chip shop. I say chip shop all the time. You want chip shop? I say chip shop all the time. But the things that I used in order to make sure that it was like somewhat functional, was I made sure that my Sims have the functionality of eating when they come here. I had my Sims having the functionality of being friendly, being kind, and a little extra one. Now, this doesn't happen in most chip shops, right? And this isn't gonna make a lot of sense if you run your chip shop during the day. Okay, it's not my local one. I actually moved quite far away from it, but my favorite chip shop, it opens from like 12 to 3, closes for 2 hours, and then it opens again from like 5 to 11. So it has different times, so it doesn't really operate all throughout during the day, and definitely not in the morning. But so when if you make this chip shop function from, I don't know, midday, it might not make a lick of sense why I've done this, but I've also given the attribute of fighting when you come here, hence why there was a lot of fights going on in the cinematic intro, is because late at night I like to imagine that they've just come back from some kind of club and then they're gonna go to this chip shop and they're gonna get themselves a kebab or something like that, and then they just fight because they're drunk. And I want that kind of idea in my game as I'm going through with it. So that's why I end up giving them the fighting attribute when they come here, hence why it's a task complete in the beginning when they were fighting each other. And boy, do Sims want to fight each other. They weren't even eating, they weren't doing anything, they're just fighting the entire time. It was really entertaining because a lot of Sims that I didn't realize had, tensions decided to fight each other. It was quite fun actually. I loved it. And it really added to the realism of it, especially with how Newcrest decided, oh, I'm going to make it rain as well. Literally, not, like financially, literally, it was raining. And I was like, oh, God, it feels like I'm walking past the chip shop myself. Now, when I was creating it, as you can see, a lot of the interior is black tiles. A lot of chip shops that I've been in are either white, silver, blue tiles. You don't really see that many chip shops with red tiles. That's normally a chicken shop, a chicken and chip shop. But normally it's like blue, white, silver. That's the general like consensus for fish bars that I've seen. But my local one has black tiles, and I was like, I'm really liking the whole black and white theme going on with the houses because I haven't actually even made that many British houses that are black and white or have the grayscale theme because there is a lot of houses in the UK that are just fully white on the outside, and I was like, okay, I want to add that kind of vibe into it. And if I have like a bright blue fish and chip shop, is just going to look like a bit of an eyesore in the entire aesthetic of it all. So I was in the entire aesthetic of it all. Was a pretentious way of saying that, but it's gonna look bright blue and it's gonna be like it's just gonna be an eyesore. So I was like, okay, let me just make it black and white and have like a whole black tile theme. And I feel like it really goes with it, especially when I change the lighting color into blue. It really just adds to the whole vibe of these fluorescents. And the whole reason I changed it to like a bluey kind of murky green almost is because I like to imagine that the light used to be bright white, but over time, the grime and the grease went onto the actual light bulb or the thing that covers the light bulb itself, and now it's just turned into this whole murky, yellowy, kind of greeny kind of color. And I love that kind of look. Also, I did change the lighting in the kitchen, so it's like bright orange, just because I wanted it to also have that kind of like this is like where the food is being cooked. Because one pack that a CC pack that I used to use a lot was the CC pack that is imitating a fast food place, and they had the best like fryers to imitate a really good greasy looking fryer area, but I wasn't able to do that just because, this is a non-CC build. So I really wanted to emulate that as best as I can. But yeah, that's what's going on in the whole kitchen area. There is also, just because I've kind of like walked away from the house, with the house itself, it's 2 levels obviously, and I really like how it looks, but it's far too small to be functional for anything. But you can make it into something if you want to, if you kind of just want to keep everything base level. But the second floor of that, I don't really show you guys because not much really goes into it. I show you guys it in the room tour, but I don't really show you guys it at the moment. And it's basically the second floor is just the employee area. So it's just got some chairs, it's got some of those food storage container things that we get from dine out, and that's about it. It's a very empty second floor, but you can do with it as you will. Whatever you choose to do, you can make it like a whole dishwasher area, you can make it a whole, I don't know, you can just make it whatever you want it to be. But I just was like, I've done the gist of it, and I did, to be very honest, I did get very bored of decorating this build. So I was like, I'm not doing the second floor for that. I believe it came out quite well in the end. I'm really happy with how it looked. It really does remind me. This is bold for someone who's never actually lived in a semi-detached or been anywhere beyond the customer side of the fish counter, but it does really remind me a lot of like how I would imagine a house connected to a chip shop would look like. I really like how it looks. It feels really, I like how the semi-detached is quite homey. And then you have the very strategic, very custom-made, like very like prim and proper area of the fish bar. Also, what I love, and I didn't realize we had this, which thank you, Home Chef Hustle, even though I say that could have been merged with Dine Out. But anyway, not the point. What I really loved with Home Chef Hustle is that we've actually got blue gloves. So we've actually got like gloves to make sure your hands are clean. So I gave that as part of the uniform for the lead, which the issue is I have is that if there was a way that maybe some modders out there have some really cool ideas, and I'll love it if you guys do, but if there was a way that we could have had a, do you know how when you create responsibilities for the customers, you can have them clean, you can have fixed objects, these are very like small businessy type of tasks. I would have really, really loved it if there was like manage front desk or manage front operationals. They did something that would have prompted the sim to stay in one particular pace as if they were. And I know we do have something similar. Like for example, you can, if you want, change the what do you call it? The counters that I have into the drinks one that we get in the game. So that is actually like a drinks one, but I just don't like how the aesthetic of that looks like it's a cafe one rather than it being a just like counter itself. Like do you know how we have the counters in, they're not counters, but do you know how we have the counters, the desks in Get to Work, and they kind of seamlessly blend with the counters? If we had something like that in this pack, so my Sims can just stay there. The whole point of them is that they like almost, okay, I'll say this. It's like we have the check-in point, the kiosk, right? If someone could make that kiosk into a receptionist area, like a reception area, but a sim must always be in attendance attended there, so no one can actually check into the actual venue itself unless the sim is working behind the kiosk and the kiosk looks like a counter. That would have been so beneficial to a lot of builds because there's, I think it only works with a mod. I'm not sure if the game ever updated it, but I know I have a mod for it. But you can't have a receptionist in The Sims 4. You have to have a mod for it. Unless it is like, healthcare. So unless it's the hospital or the police station or anything like that. But like general businesses, you can't just place down the reception thingy and have a receptionist come there. You have to have a mod, which is very interesting and very it's something that I would really like because it'll make everything feel a lot more real and special. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Anyway, before the video comes to an end, I actually want to remember what I talked about in the other video. I can't believe I've spoken for 30 minutes about the same thing. So interesting what you can do when you really hate something. But anyway, um, I forgot to talk about in my previous voiceover. Well, I kind of rushed it near the end. My favorite things from the chip shop, because I've spoken it a little bit on my British High Street video, which I made a chicken shop and a fish shop. I think I've said this in this video. It's really hard to remember what I said in this recording and what I've said in the other recording. But my favorite things from the chip shop is I love a scallop. It used to be 30p. I'm pretty sure it's probably a pound now, but I used to love a scallop. It's like mashed up potato battered, and it is so lush, and it's like kind of flat. It's amazing. So it's not like a scallop, which is fish, it's a scallop. I also love a battered sausage, which is just a traditional sausage, not a Savoy, but like a just normal sausage, battered, lush. Love that. I also love a mini fish and chips, my go-to order. Put a steak and kidney pie on the side of that. Lush. And then if I'm feeling like it, I'll have kebab meat, like a doner kebab, but just the meat on top of chips with some salad, with some garlic mayo, and with some chili sauce on top. Again, guys, you just really have to try my ideas of fish and chip shop orders because they are lush and they're really, really good. And if you can, if your chip shop has it, we have a chicken tikka and peri chicken, like those meats on the skewers on the side and the rotisseries. Get a mixture of those two. Get some salad. Get some garlic mayo. Get some chili sauce. Put it in a wrap. Lush. And then you can also just, have basic chips with cheese and gravy, which is basically the British version of poutine, but not actual poutine. Like, not at all. It's not cheese curds. It's normally just cheddar cheese, but it's also really, really good. But yeah, God, I'm hungry now, and it's like 9 a.m. Tell me if you've got any more business ideas. I still got a lot of ideas I want to do for The Sims, but comment down below if you've got any more business ideas. And it can't be tattoo studio or pottery because I've done that to death. It has to be unique. Do you have any unique ideas? See, do you trust that I could potentially pull them off? But yeah, also, if I've got a viewer that hopefully they're still watching me because I really do care for them, before you comment museum, I still remember I need to create you a museum. I know it's been a year, but I still remember. Don't worry about that. I really love this. It looks so cute. It's perfect. I love it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but if you don't want to, that's also okay. I appreciate you staying this long and listening to all of my ramblings. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below. I read all of your comments, the more the merrier. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Hey, hey.